So the artwork that I do, I make ceramic works. I also do painting. I do a little bit of everything. I think I'm a pretty well-rounded artist. My main passion is definitely working with ceramics though. And I started getting back into ceramics about 3 years ago. I was teaching a summer camp at Pittsburgh Center for the Arts, and one of the incentives there is if you teach a camp, you get to take a adult class for free. And so it got me back into the studio after years of being out of the ceramic studio, because it's a little bit more of a pricey art medium to do. You can't really do it at your house. I don't have a kiln, I don't have a wheel, it's messy. So I got back into it, and it was just like meeting up with an old friend. Ever since I've been back in the studio, I've just been creating ceramic art, mostly doing a couple painting series in between.
What kind of a space or a personality or a home or an office do you think like your art would go best in?
When I make my art, I really think about who is going to buy my art. That's not the only reason I make art. It's an expression of myself, but I really want my art to be accessible to everyone. So I tend to make 2 tracks of art almost, so you're kind of functional, affordable art. And then I also work on larger sculptures that would be more expensive, that somebody that is looking more to add to their collection of art in their home could buy. But if you don't have that type of revenue, you can also buy like a mug, and it's still a little piece of me. So I think that's really important, because I know personally, I really try to support arts as much as I can. But I also don't have unlimited funding, and also have bills I have to pay, and that kind of stuff. So I always really appreciate when I go to a show, if there's something else there, like if I see a painting and it's $800, I know I can't afford that. But if I see something maybe for like $250 and below, I'm like, that's like a little piece of something I can take home. So some of the artists that I really look up to, I have like, a drawing that's like this big, but at least it's something, and that adds to my art collection. So I kind of think about that whenever I'm creating art.
Where can people get your stuff?
So you can find my artwork. I post a lot when I am doing events on my social media account, and it's Karazuzuart on Instagram. I could do commission pieces. Sometimes people hit me up when they see something I post, and I just meet up with people. Vending is really a great way for me to get my art out there, that like when I'm talking about like affordable, accessible art for all. It's easy to take mugs places. There's mushrooms, little mushroom guys that I make. I best just through direct contact is where you can find most of my stuff, and following my social media account to see what vending events that I am doing. I don't have a website. I just use social media. It's Karazuzuart. My email is karazuzuart@gmail.com. When opportunities present themselves, I usually grab that opportunity, and that's usually where I sell my art. And to be honest, it's been pretty successful so far. So I guess next step of my artist development would be really kind of narrowing down a website.
So you're familiar with Unblurred, right?
Yes.
Yes. Tell us about Unblurred. If somebody didn't know what Unblurred was, why, is it worth going to?
So Unblurred happens the first Fridays of every month, and it's on Penn Avenue in Garfield, and all the galleries up here, including vendors outside and night markets, they come out, show new exhibits of art. Different artists are out. There's a lot of good food vendors that are out. It's really fun. I would say it's like a real social event. It's nice that people are coming out to support the arts. I guess I have like an opinion about it. Sometimes I think it's too much of a social event and not really focus on the arts. And so people are coming out to say that they went to Unblurred, but you're not really buying any art, which I think is it's a blanket frustration with Pittsburgh sometimes. It's like you just want to be seen as artsy, but you don't actually want to invest in the artists that are in the community. But I like the event. It's always a lot of fun. It's great to see everybody. I know for me as an artist, I like coming to Unblurred because I get to see all the other artists that I'm friends with, that all the rest of the month we're in the studio, our heads are down, we don't socialize, we don't talk to anybody. And then it's like, oh, hey, what's going on? What are you working on now? And so that I really like. I like that camaraderie that you get with the artists. I just wish that people were coming really to buy and help support the artsiness of Pittsburgh.
I guess that kind of answered my next question, which was, what's your take on the Pittsburgh art scene, for better or worse? What's great about it? What could it improve upon? Do you have anything to add to?
As far as the Pittsburgh art scene goes, I think there are pockets of like successfulness and then unsuccessfulness. I think when art events are too focused on the event and like the drinking aspect of it, to be honest, or like a musical production aspect, then the visual artists lose out, because people then go, they're drinking, they want to listen to music, they don't want to carry something with them all night. So I'm pretty particular when I am doing vending events. I try to think like, okay, if I was there, would I buy something or would I just want to like party? And so if like I would rather just have fun and hang out, I probably won't do that vending event, because I'm just like, maybe this is a perception, but I'm assuming everybody else is going to kind of be in the same boat with that. I think the events that are really focused on you are coming out to see artists and to support art are the ones that are the most successful. And I think there's a disconnect between your artsy community and your other community of Pittsburgh. And I think the artists in Pittsburgh, I think they're all really great people. I think we all work jobs that maybe don't give us the financial freedom to also support each other's artwork, which sucks. You know, people work in the service industry, or like I work in education. Like I know I'm not ever going to make that much money, but I'm okay with that. And, you know, I try to do what I can. And so it's hard for us, I think, sometimes to buy each other's artwork. But then you also have this other population in Pittsburgh that does have the resources and the finances, but it's almost like these two groups don't really intertwine. And so sometimes I've been thinking about this, like maybe that's why people don't sell as well in Pittsburgh. When a lot of artists go to other cities, they end up doing a lot better. And I think it's because there's this bridge and connection of that whole community of their cities. And ours, there's some type of disconnect. I think even if you think about the Arts Fest, you do have local vendors there, but you also have people from all over the country that come. And so it's like, well, why not do something that's just local and have those same people, all those thousands of people that go to the Arts Fest, come and actually support people that live in the city of Pittsburgh instead of supporting all these other artists everywhere else. And, you know, I'm for supporting artists wherever you're from, but I wish that the city of Pittsburgh in itself would really invest and highlight and kind of lift up the people that are here, which I think is nice about the Penn Avenue one, because it is local, but we're not getting those consumers that are going to the Arts Fest, the Three Rivers Arts Fest coming up here. So like that's where I think there's like kind of this disconnect that's happening. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us an example of any particular artsy hotspots for people to visit?
As far as artsy hotspots, Penn Avenue is great because it is local artists, but I think it's also only accessible almost one night a week, or that's the idea. Most people said you can only see it one day out of the month. I know Spirit also does monthly art shows, which are also great, but I think then they also get kind of clouded with like their music events that happen. So it's not really highlighting the artwork. I know coffee shops too will hang some local artists' work. I feel we're a challenge for me in particular, since I work with 3D ceramic works. If I'm not doing a painting, you know, paintings can kind of sit and live on a wall. Sculptural things, functional things. I don't know if any place in Pittsburgh really has a spot like that necessarily where you can go easily and see. Geez, I spend so much time in the studio. I'm like, maybe I need to get out a little bit more. But I really like Pittsburgh Center for the Arts because it is a membership there. And so you have members from their young 20s to, you know, their 70s. So it's really kind of a cool artist community, and like getting to see everybody's work, just who's creating it in the studio, is also really inspiring. And just being able to bounce back ideas with people is really nice.
Who do you recommend I go check out?
So I love Steph Leary's artwork. I'm sorry, I said Neary. Steph Leary's artwork is really good. Her Instagram handle is RUSnerious. She creates really cool like folk art. there's a couple members at Pittsburgh Center for the Arts. Kyle Hauser, who runs the studio there, does really amazing stuff. Sean Solinger, who me and him are going to be vending together with shortly. He does really cool, like a mix of organic. He makes handles that kind of look like wood. So they're out of clay, and the juxtaposition with actual like hand-built clay things is really cool. As far as performers, Lindsay Morgan Smith, she's a singer and she's amazing. She's probably one of the best singers that I've ever. So I create work out of ceramics. I'm very passionate about sculpture and hand building, although I do work with the wheel with some things. What inspires me with my artwork, I really love animals. I tend to always kind of have like a zoo going on at my apartment. I have currently 3 cats, a tarantula, and a gecko, but I've had parrots and finches and hermit crabs, and basically if anybody gave me an animal, I would just take it. But I love animals. They're really important to me. I think they're the gift of their friendship is really important, and I think too, I kind of have these different animals that come in and out of my life, and I look at them more as like spirit animals. They're just helping guide me. So I make animals with my artwork. My artwork is kind of taking me into 2 paths right now. So I do vending, affordable, whimsical art, and then I've been also working on a more higher end series. My vending artwork, this is an example of one of the things that I make. So I make these little mushroom guys, and I first started making them when I was doing a soda fire workshop, and we were experimenting with some different oxides, and so it was kind of changing the clay body, and I really liked how it was looking, and I put these little faces on it, and I just couldn't stop laughing after I started making it, because seeing these little eyeballs looking up at me, I'm like in the studio, I got my headphones on, like nobody's talking to me, and I just start busting out laughing, and they're like, they really are my friends. I like art that makes you feel good, or you get some type of emotion from, and it just kind of makes you laugh. So I've been making these for the last couple years, and they're really, I like it as like a vendor. It's really fun when people come up to my booth and they just look at the mushrooms and start laughing. I'm like, that's exactly what I was going for. Like, you think it's funny, like it's making you laugh. It's like tickling you for some reason or another. So stuff like this is really fun. I've also been making other little creatures, like little slugs. I've been working on some jellyfish and squids and stuff like that with just little silly faces. And these are great for your windowsill. Some people put them in their plants. I also make mugs with cats on it. My one cat, Kitty, that I also have tattooed on me, she's really quirky. She's got a really tiny head and a really big fat body. And she almost looks like she swallowed her chin. She has this little white chin and she's all black. And I started off making mugs with illustrations of her on them. And from that, it's just kind of grown into almost like my world of creatures, like my world of friends. So they're really fun. They're fun and enjoyable, and I think people like them. But then I've also been working on this more kind of higher end series, and also staying with my theme of these certain animals, these kind of totems that reappear in my life. So we have the rabbit and the rat, I think goat heads and bats and kind of those woodsy creatures. But then also sticking with like something like this, would be a couple $100. Takes me a long time to make. But keeping with that accessibility, I've also been working on this series of actual functional vessels that kind of emulate what's going on with the higher end pieces. But like I had mentioned, like if I can't afford that $800 piece, I still want something that I can take home that's a little bit more affordable at like maybe $50 or something like that. I'm Karazuzuart. I'm an artist in Pittsburgh, and Mr. Bones knows me.